Leadership requires you to become more. It requires you to develop influence, to be able to listen, to be able to lead, all right, and to be able to strategize and work properly with the team.
I'm on the line. Thank you guys for I really enjoy this platform because it's a conversation that not many people have. But I initially brought up because I personally just think that's a conversation that people should be having, especially if it's something that's in the back of their minds. So me with my bold mouth, maybe I just kind of brought up the conversation since I know this individual has interest in polygyny. But my thing is in the conversation of marriage, like I almost refuse to even go into that area if that's not a conversation we're having, knowing that that's something that the person's interested in. So I guess, I was just wondering if when you as a woman bring that up as just wanting to have that conversation, what do you do when they kind of shy away from it? Is it just maybe not the time to have that conversation, or what? I wasn't really, I'm just trying to figure out kind of where the mind space is of maybe I just kind of stepped into an area, maybe needing to wait for him to bring it up. But, I know this individual is interested in that. It's just, I just personally don't want to go into the, that portion of marrying a person where we're not having that conversation.
No, absolutely. You know what? I really agree. Well, that goes into increasing your emotional aptitude, understanding communication. You have to be able to have difficult conversations. You don't want to wait to the moment of any type of surprises, any type of insecurities. You have to discuss, can we have an open, honest communication? Can we openly and honestly have a hard conversation?
We know, don't we?
Yeah.
Because we both was waiting. One was waiting for the other.
So in this, first of all, take this also, brothers, if you're paying attention, because the question was asked, how do you help women become more interested and so on and so forth? This is a woman, all right, that knows that he wants to practice polygyny and wants to have the discussion regarding it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, she's not, you don't sound like a bum. She sounds intelligent and everything else. So I'm letting you know, pay attention. All right, so let your intentions be known. He let his intention be known, but for whatever reason, there's some hesitation. But maybe you just need to have a conversation about communication, period, not necessarily on this topic. Also, what raised my eyebrow a little bit is when you said, in my big mouth, I said, so how was it said? Was it a little aggressive? Was it a little challenging? Was it, help me get some understanding?
I'm not, I'm very outspoken. But I'm very mindful of how I address when it comes out, even when it comes down to the male figures in my life in general. I know I'm outspoken, but I'm not an aggressive person. But the example is of how I brought it up is, what is your train of thought when it comes to polygyny? Is that something you're looking to practice in the future? I'm already knowing this, but I just wanted to open up the door for that conversation.
Okay, I have something to say finally. A dear friend of mine was at the master, just for an example. And we were talking about polygyny, of course, because I'm there. So it always seems to come up. And we spoke about it. She said, you know what? Sis, I wanted my husband to practice polygyny and I kept bugging him about it. He said no. And I'm like, why not? And because to her, it made all the sense in the world. I mean, they had been married for over 20 years. She's like, why not? I know you think about it. And she said the answer surprised her. And she's thinking, oh, he gonna jump on the opportunity. You brought it up, right? And he said, I am not the man for the responsibility of polygyny. Like, I can't do that to myself. I'm not ready yet. Although he thought about it, he had to think about how comfortable he would be in being the husband to two women, to two wives. And that scared him enough to say, look, I'm not there yet. And they might revisit it later on. But I thought that was very honest and transparent. He thought about it. He wanted to, But he was like, I'm not ready for the responsibility, because he knew the responsibility was huge. I've had friends of mine say, do you know how big a responsibility it is for Coach Nazir to have 2 wives? Have you thought about that? Not just your side of it, but just to have 2 wives and then this many children at the time. And we had opened up the floor at the sister's house and spoke about that. And it was incredible to the women. So I said, if it's incredible to the women, what must it be like for the husband that wants to do it but feels as though he can't carry the responsibility of it, although he desires it so much. And I told her, I said, you know what? At least he was honest. He said, I know you want me to do it, but I have to be the man for the job, is what he was saying. And he the self-evaluation was important, because he didn't want to go mess up someone else's life, because he knew going in he wasn't ready. Now that's mental too, mentally, physically, financially, there's something spiritually. He just told her the truth. I want it, but I'm not responsible yet enough to carry it. I like that answer, but it's in his head, but he's got to weigh a lot.
Wow. That makes sense. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, sis. All right,
Great
Coach Nyla.
question. Great question.
Assalamu alaikum, Mustafa. 30 seconds if you have a question. You can speak now.
Wonderful. All right, yeah, just quickly to bring back onto the topic of the legality. I know that it's still, from what I understand, state, federal laws, sometimes they most likely go above what the Sharia is. Just kind of discussing about New Jersey laws. If someone was to marry in polygamy within those states, you technically have to get 2 licenses, right? In order to get married, or can you get married without license?
Licenses are relatively new. That goes into understanding certificates and understanding what happened with the creation.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, Coach, you sound far.
All right. Can you hear me? Is this better?
Yes.
All right. Here's the thing. We're talking about the legality part again. I hope everybody can hear them online. Here's the facts. You have to understand about certificates, what registrations are, and exactly what that means and why it came into existence after the creation of the Federal Reserve in the early 1900s, just as Social Security cards and birth certificates did. All of this stuff matters. But do you have to go into studying deeply to understand? No, you don't. You know why? Because marriage is simply a ceremony. There's no need for an official marriage license in any state, anywhere in the world, for it to be recognized before your creator, no matter what your religion is. All right. Now, for example, marriages used to be registered in a Bible. There would be a pastor, he would take it and have the date down, he would write it in their Bible, and that's how it was done. And there's also something that used to be considered common law marriage. I mean, if you're living with someone else for over 6 months, you consider common law married, because there was something in common law, but after 1938, it didn't exist anymore. We have civil law and so on and so forth. But understanding that difference between lawful and legal, okay? Legal is the government giving you permission to do something that will otherwise be illegal. That's what having a license does, okay? Understanding that difference. Do you need a license to get married? No, you don't. States will like that because there's a whole reason and all kind of things that go behind it. Now, that doesn't mean just don't do anything. No, you actually contract. And I'm in the United States, so that means you have the unlimited right to contract. You can take that into any civil court, and whatever your agreement is between men and women and children, all this type of stuff will be respected upon that contract. So it's important to utilize the tools that are available for you, but just understanding the difference between lawful and legal is crucial. So if there was ever a law, for example, in France, where now they banned the niqab, yeah, you have to wear a face mask, but not a niqab. This is clearly something that's anti-Islamic. All right, and not that we consider it wajib, clearly, but this is also the women's freedom to wear it or to not wear it. But if a woman feels that it's wajib, it's fought on her to wear it, then the government doesn't change that. You know, she will go outside, get whatever fine it is, but for every single fine and inconvenience that happens to a movement, it's a barakah in that. You know, so anyway, that's enough on that. We're going to wrap it in about 10 minutes or less. I know there's somebody else that has a question on Clubhouse. There's also another question online, but we can go ahead and address the Clubhouse question first.
Sorry, Brother Jazakallah. As a man, we know that we have responsibilities in front of Allah and our family. So if a person doesn't take care of that, they have to take care of that first before considering polygyny. My question is with regards to the finances and how to actually set it up if you're not married at all, to actually go in and start the setup. How would you do that as a person who has nobody, who's not married at all, to go actually and set up for a polygynic relationship?
I think that's probably a little weird. I would suggest when you're talking about finances to make sure your finances are passive. Okay, you want to utilize your active income to gain assets that create passive income. So whether that's investing in real estate, whether that is investing in different cryptocurrencies, whether it's investing in different businesses, one is to make sure you get your financial acumen up. So if you haven't already studied the #1 financial personal finance book for like 8 years in a row by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that breaks off in the cash flow quadrant, that goes into Start Your Own Corporation by Garrett Sutton and Run Your Own Corporation by Garrett Sutton, to see how the wealthy actually protect their money and their assets from the hands of the government and everybody else. Like Amazon pays 0 in federal taxes. I mean, it was absolutely legal. There's a reason for that. So getting your financial intelligence, your financial IQ up is extremely important. Or people like last year had multiple 6-figure jobs and many of them were shut down due to COVID. You know, so the point I'm making is that if you are single, get your finances together so that should something happen to you, you get sick, you get hurt, you pass, you know, that your finances, your family is still taken care of after you, because you have to be the leader, the strategist, the one that's leading the family. So again, if you are incapable of doing something, your assets are still split off. And when you own corporations, you can give shares and you can split things equally. So this stuff goes on beyond you, regardless of what the government says, when it will or legal wife or not, and so on and so forth. So that's just being strategic and being a leader. All right. So knowing and getting your financial IQ up is extremely important, because again, in polygyny, you have there are 2 things in polygyny that are measurables. There's time and there's money. The other things are the intangibles. That's the emotional ability. That's your ability to communicate well, to be able to listen, to understand what somebody's saying, to learn different identities and different personality types. You know, so it's all of these different things. Those are intangibles. Those you can't measure. You can't measure love. You can't measure all of these things I just mentioned, other than the time and the money. So if you're single, focus on your first wife. Be able to enjoy that first marriage and start recognizing you're going to learn as you go before you jump into polygyny. But at least you're having open, honest conversation with that wife, letting her know what your intentions are. She should be able to accept that, know what that is, and then go from there. You know, and also just to Sister Asia makes a comment online, which is so true. And I hope that, you know, help right there, Ahi. But she makes a comment. She says, you know, many feel that by not having those difficult conversations, they are protecting a woman's feelings. But the truth is, we can handle hard truth versus secrecy and being blindsided. I absolutely agree. And we speak from the position of me not dealing with notifying Coach Fatimah before getting married and having those hard conversations, doing afterwards. So again, on our journey, that's one of the reasons, without having the resources, without having the support and things like that, we wanted to make sure we are letting other people know best practices and learning from our mistakes. So that's very true. I appreciate that comment, sis. And Shafiq. All right. Please talk to those brothers about getting their money up. With more wives, most like come more children and responsibilities. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, get your finances right. Again, that's something that's also attractive, because women are looking for security. So people ask me, I mean, there are many different ways to make money. You have to just not be poor. Poor being in a cross that for passing over opportunities repeatedly. So whether when you are studying these different books that I just mentioned, for example, or taking different courses, you're learning how to recognize opportunities all around you. And it's just seeing what you can take advantage of that's best for you in your lifestyle. I personally like having the ability to have outstanding personal relationships that is not limited to any geographical area, where we can go online and cast right now all across the world and benefit people. And those who want to go deeper can join our Relationship Mastery Inner Circle courses, or I have a Kings and Kingdoms courses I'll be releasing later this week that deals with the men. It has a coaching aspect to it. So being able to help people out across the planet and not be restricted to a certain geographical area means a lot. It's very, very important to me. That allows the freedom, that also allows, should something happen to me, it's going to continue to go. And we are the first generation where our grandchildren and great-grandchildren, great-great-great-great-grandchildren, should they exist, have the opportunity to see us right now as we are. You know, I saw my great-grandfather as he was in some pictures when he was little, but they'll be able to hear us and see us and everything else when we're gone. And one of the reasons we want to do that, because 3 things follow you after your death. 3 things. And one of those things is a righteous child who prays for you. So we want our generations and build this legacy so that righteous children that come from us will benefit us. And also, of course, benefit from what we're teaching, inshallah ta'ala. And all right, so we got a few minutes left. Trust law, absolutely, Shafi. And you're very welcome. We appreciate the classes. Please talk about, finance. Does the government give you issues regarding your 2 wives? No, they don't care. I'm also second wife, but my husband is afraid to say it in public. Yeah, the government does not care. All right. The government will not consider if you're married and have a license with your initial wife. First, how would they even know to begin with? Second, they'll consider your second wife your girlfriend.
Yeah.
There's nothing illegal about having a girlfriend or a mistress or anything like that.
They got them.
They got it, promote, all of that. You have to understand monogamy is designed to protect the man. It's not designed to protect the woman.
Exactly.
Okay.
We acknowledge them as wives. They don't have to.
But no, the government doesn't. No. Hope that helps. Anything else, Coach Nyla? Because we're about to wrap it up. We know we've been on here for a minute, and we got to pray and everything and keep it pushing.
Abu Yusha asked the question because he's been like dipping in and out, so I don't know if it's just the hour or anything like that. So inshallah.
I have one quick question, Coach. From your perspective, what are the absolute main qualities and a man needs to maintain a polygamous marriage?
Was that a question? I could hardly hear it. Can you say it again?
Sorry, yeah. Basically, what are the main qualities you feel a man needs to maintain polygamous marriage?
Oh, what are the main qualities a man needs to practice polygyny, basically, right? That's what you asked?
Yeah.
Okay. The main qualities a man needs, one, is you have to, in my opinion, in my experience, you should be grounded in some form of spirituality. Okay. You have to know that there's something greater to you and more important to you, and there's a bigger mission than just you fulfilling your earthly desires. Is it on the table? It's right here. Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't see it. Anyway, so you should know that you have to answer to a higher power. There has to be something that governs you. You are not a god. All right, period. And I don't like when people say that, or I know where some of the thinking comes from, but you're not a god. 1. Number 2 is leadership. Leadership. With leadership comes pretty much everything else under that. Leadership requires you to become more. It requires you to develop influence, to be able to listen, to be able to lead, all right, and to be able to strategize and work properly with the team. Okay, so making sure those 2 things are there, but of course you also have to have your finances. You have to be able to work with something. You have to be able to take an idea, bring it to fruition, take it so you're not just depending on your active income on a job, especially on a job. All right, as an employee, that's the highest taxed and everything else. So whether it's small business or a home-based business, whatever it may be, and then of course you have investing and then you have big business. So understanding also that you must grow. This isn't about, now I have 2 wives, I'm gonna sit back and chill. No, you actually have more responsibility. All right, now you see 2 of us here, and then there's Coach Nyla running the clubhouse right now, but you don't see the dozen children that have come from us that we're investing in and trying to help grow, and 1 is married right now, and we want to continue that going. So you have to have that leadership in order to cast a proper vision, because the vision and the mission is everything, because it's bigger than you. So a man, again, to recap that, has some type of spiritual foundation. You have to be there. Now, mentally, that goes into making sure you're growing in personal development. All right. Of course, physically, you have to be capable of doing a number of different things and being pulled in a number of different directions. All right. And of course, making sure you are working on your finances so that your passive income, should anything happen, your passive income continues to flow. And in times of challenge and adversity, that's actually when most opportunity exists for you to win. So with COVID, those who were sophisticated, who were already educated, made a lot more money during COVID in 2020 than they did before that. All right, so I hope that helps, inshallah. And yep, we're about to wrap it up now. So I'm going to close the clubhouse room. Appreciate y'all for sticking in on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you follow us on Clubhouse at Coach Nazir, at Coach Fatimah, at Coach Nyla. Like our page, share the information, help us go ahead and make sure we do well with the algorithms. Get this information out to more. Send it to different imams and individuals and stuff like that. And prayerfully, you receive some benefit. Anything that we said is incorrect is from ourselves. Anything that's correct is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, we appreciate you, and we're about to end the broadcast in the room. Say it again.
Make sure you guys are continuing to practice GLC, because this is how we end our lives and end our things. Make sure you're practicing GLC. Make sure you are growing intentionally.
Loving fearlessly.
And connected on a higher level every single day. And I'm Coach Nazir, and I'm here to help you get your shift together. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.
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 Here are 3 ways outstanding personal relationships can help you.
One is by following us on our social medias. Follow us on IG at Outstanding Relationships and on Facebook and YouTube at Outstanding Personal Relationships. And make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell.
Number 2, make sure you head over to outstandingpersonalrelationships.com and subscribe to the email list. From there, you will get downloads as well as updates, any and all updates. And you also get an update on the release of our new book, Let's Talk Polygyny, Uncensored.
Number 3, if you are serious about polygyny relationships and really developing fulfillment and happiness, make sure you register for our Relationship Mastery Inner Circle, which is members only, which includes downloads, it includes access to us live on a weekly basis. So that's at outstandingpersonalrelationships.com/RM. We'll see you soon. Assalamu alaikum.
Peace.